structure. So we all have the same ancestor. So whale, cat, horse, human, we all have the same ancestor. That's why we are all mammals. But here I want to bring up a question. Do you think birds and bat, you know that bat is a mammal, but bird, I told you that bird is a reptile, right? But they all have wings, bird and bat. Do they have common ancestor? Oh, by the way, this is a good term, homologous structure. So all mammals, bat, whale, cat, horse, and human, we have this homologous structure because we all have the same common ancestor. What about bat and bird? You know, they all have wings in the forelimbs, are they? So this is a good question. We will look at next slides to tell you the answer. So you can see that all mammals, we have 5 digits. If you don't understand what I mean, look at your hand right now. Your hand, each hand has 5 fingers. Even bat has 5 digits or 5 phalanges, okay? But guess what, bird, they only have 3 phalanges. So do you think birds and the rest of mammal, they have homologous structure? Well, not really, because bird only have 3 phalanges. So structurally it's not the same, it's not homologous, but functionally it's the same as bat. So how do we call that? So the question is, are birds and bats, they are homologous to insect wing? You know that insect wings, they are totally different. So we use the term analogous. Analogous, remember this definition, very good. You know, same function but different origin. Same function, different origin. You may call it same function, different structure. We call it analogous, okay? So insect wing is also for flying, bat wing is also for flying, bird's wing is also for flying. But are they analogous? They are analogous, yes, but are they homologous? No, they are not homologous. So to answer the question that we posed in the previous slide, bird and bat wings, they are analogous as the function. In terms of function, because they both have their function, they are for flying as a wings, and for them they are homologous in terms of a structure. Structure-wise, they are homologous. Okay, my handwriting is really bad. Okay. Well, I would say most of the cases, you only have analogy between the animals or homology in between animals. Bat wings and bird wings is like one of the few exceptional cases that they are both analogous and homologous. Because usually it's only homologous or only analogous. Yes, birds and bats, they do not come from the same ancestor, because birds, they are reptile, bats, they are mammal. Although you can argue that, well, mammals, they also evolved from reptile. Yes, mammals, they are evolved from reptile, but the ancestor of the mammal, they are separated from reptile many years ago. So that's why we call mammal instead of reptile. So in here, instead of analogous independent evolution with similar, I would say, function here. for homologous common evolutionary origin with similar structure. Okay. Okay, we finished the second evidence, the comparative anatomy. Now we go to the third evidence, comparative embryology. So, in embryonic stages, we see a lot of structural similarities. Suggesting that those animals, they have a common ancestor. So we can, an example we are gonna look at is the vertebrae. When vertebrae, they are in embryos, they look very similar to each other. So we can take a look at here. When we compare the embryo of fish, salamander, which is an amphibian, tortoise, which is an amphibian, chick, which is a reptile, and human embryo. At first, they all look very similar, and they all share a common structure called pharyngeal pouches or pharyngeal slit. This pharyngeal pouches is common in all mammals. Actually, in all animals, not just in all animals. The pharyngeal pouches in human being becomes our pharynx, meaning our pharynx is the part that is shared. It is behind your nose and also behind your mouth. It is shared. It's a pharynx, a structure that is shared between your respiratory system and your digestive system. So pharyngeal pouches become pharynx in human being, and pharyngeal pouches become the gills in fish. So and then there's another one called postnatal tail, the tail. Yes, human being, we have tails. It's just that the tail become vestigial or degenerate. It becomes the coxal bone, which is the last segment of your vertebra. And then, of course, we know that fish has tail, salamander, turtles, they also have tail, tortoise, they have tail, chicken, they have tails. Almost all animals, they have tails, except human being. But human being, we have tail. It's just that it degenerate or become vestigial. It becomes the last part of your vertebral column. So our pharynx and the coxal bone in our human being, they are homologous structure to the gill. Okay, pharynx is homologous to the gill in the fish, and our coxal bone, the last part of our vertebral column, is homologous to the tail of other animal. So you can see that we use a tail here, and then in the late embryonic stage, it becomes part of the vertebral column, the last part of the vertebral column. And this is the pharyngeal pouches, and it internalized become our pharynx. Evidence number 4, biogeographic relationship. Well, you can see the consistency of between fossils and living organisms in relation to the continental movement. Continental movement basically means you know that the land on Earth, they are like jigsaw puzzle. They all fit together in the past. but because of the movement of the so-called tectonic plate that tear apart our land, and now we now have different continent. We'll take a look at this in the next picture. Yes, you can see that 250 million years ago, all the land they are together. And then as you can see that, well, as the time move on, you see all these tectonic plate, they are tearing apart. Now it looks like this nowadays. What at the beginning people noticed that the scientist, I forgot his name, sorry about that. The scientist noticed is that the edge, the eastern edge of the South America fit perfectly with the western coast of Africa. That's how people began to investigate. As a matter of fact, the vegetation, that means the forest in the western part of Africa and the eastern part of South America, that means the Amazon rainforest, a lot of species, they are the same. Not only the plant, the forest, but also the animal living there. Of course, after so many years, you have the divergence of the species, but they trace it back. The animal living in the western part of Africa and eastern part of South America, they have the same ancestor. They are closely related. So this is an example, marsupial. Marsupial, okay, the famous one is the kangaroo. They are a group of mammals. Yes, they are mammals. They give birth to the infant that the baby developed in the outer pouch of the mother. You can find kangaroo in, of course, the Australia, but you can find their so-called cousin in South America and part of the North America as well. Why is that? How come you can find their relative literally on the opposite side of the earth? If you look at this animation, you can see that originally Australia and South America, they are connected in the same plate, and then due to the tectonic movement, so Australia, South America, they split and become two different continents. That's why you can find marsupial in both Australia and South America. Of course, later on, though, some of the marsupial, they migrate to the North America as well. And not only that, there are lots of rodents in South America. They diverge to become many different types of rodent in 34 million years ago. So basically, a lot of rodent, they are originated from America. A lot of rodent all over the world. So you see that distribution of the South American rodent. Some of them goes to Asia. Most of them, they are in South America. Some of them go to North America. Oh, this is a better picture.